Okay, so welcome to our deep dive into AI and education in 2025.
Yeah, sounds exciting.
We have a ton of research articles and reports about how AI is changing the way we learn.
A lot to unpack.
Right. We've got stuff from the Overdeck Family Foundation, e-learning industries, Scrum Launch, even a survey from API about how students are already using AI.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot here about personalized learning, all the cool AI tools that are being used, and of course we have to talk about the ethical side of things too.
And forget that.
Definitely not. So, our mission today, if you will, is to break all of this down into something you can actually use, something that makes sense.
Make it clear and engaging, right?
Exactly. And look, before we get started, I do want to say this deep dive is just for informational and entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
It's not professional advice. Think of it as a starting point, something to spark your curiosity and get you thinking.
A fun and informative jumping off point.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, okay, let's jump right in. One thing that really jumped out at me from all this research is just how much AI is already being used in education. Like, it's not some far-off future thing.
It's here, it's now.
Yeah. And this HEPI survey found that a whopping 92% of undergraduate students in 2025 have used AI in some form.
92%. That's incredible.
It is, and it's a huge jump from just 66% in the previous year, 2024.
So, in a single year, AI use among undergrads has just exploded.
Yeah, it really has, and a big chunk of that is what's called generative AI, which is AI that can create new content like text or images. The survey found 88% of students have used it for assessment.
For assessments, like exams and essays.
Yeah, and this is a huge deal because it raises all sorts of questions about academic integrity and how we assess learning in the age of AI.
For sure. But it also shows how these tools are already becoming integrated into the student experience.
Absolutely. And it's not just the students. Teachers are also using AI more and more.
Right, we saw that in one of the articles. Yeah, one source said that teachers are using AI for things like lesson planning and grading.
Which makes sense. Those can be very time-consuming tasks.
Totally. And then this foundation, the Overdeck Family Foundation, made an interesting point in their report.
Let's hear it.
They said that a lot of AI adoption right now is focused on helping educators with those behind-the-scenes tasks.
Like we just mentioned, the lesson planning and admin stuff.
Exactly. But they also see a huge opportunity to develop AI tools that directly impact how students learn.
Okay, so shifting the focus from making the teacher's life easier to actually transforming the learning process itself.
Yeah, and I think that's where things start to get really exciting. And the amount of money being poured into AI in education shows you just how much potential people see in this.
You're talking about that $32 billion figure by 2030.
That's the one. And we also saw that over half of higher ed institutions are now prioritizing AI, which is up from 49% the year before.
So it's becoming a core part of their strategy, not just a side project.
Exactly. So it's clear that AI is already making a huge impact and it's only going to get bigger. So let's talk about personalized learning because that's one of the most talked about areas where AI can really revolutionize education.
Personalized learning
Mm.
basically means tailoring education to each student's individual needs, right?
Yeah, their preferences, their abilities, their learning speed. It's all about moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach.
Because let's be honest, that doesn't really work for anyone.
Right. And AI is what makes this actually possible on a large scale because it can analyze data about how each student learns best and then adjust the learning experience accordingly.
So it's like having a personal tutor for every student.
In a way, yeah, it can figure out what a student needs, adapt to their learning style, change the curriculum as needed, and monitor their progress all in real time. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Okay, I'm getting a little lost. Can you give me a concrete example of how this would actually work?
Sure. So imagine a student who excels in math but struggles with writing.
Okay, I know a few students like that.
An AI system could pick up on this pattern and automatically spend more time on writing concepts for that student.
More practice, different explanations, maybe.
Right. And at the same time, it wouldn't hold them back in math. It might even give them more challenging problems to keep them engaged.
Ah, so it's about making sure they're not getting bored in their strong areas while also getting the support they need in their weaker areas.
Exactly. And AI can also take into account different learning styles. Some students learn best visually, others through hands-on activities, others through listening.
Right, but different learning styles.
So if a student seems to grasp concepts better through videos and images, the AI can incorporate more of that type of content.
If they're more auditory learners, it might use more podcasts or spoken lessons.
Yeah. And this isn't just theoretical. One of the universities we looked at, Athabasca University, is doing research on using AI to personalize learning paths for online students.
What are they doing specifically?
They're using AI to adapt the order in which students go through different parts of a course based on their individual needs.
So the learning outcomes are the same, but the journey to get there is different for each student.
Exactly, and it's all based on data about how that particular student learns best. So we're seeing AI move beyond just theory and into actual practice, shaping how learning is designed and delivered.
It's exciting to see how it's all coming together. So what about the tools themselves? Are there any specific AI tools that are being used in classrooms right now?
Oh yeah, there are tons. We mentioned Kahoots earlier, which is a platform for creating interactive quizzes and games. They use AI to make learning more engaging and fun.
I've heard of Kahoots. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, and it's a great example of how AI can be used to make learning feel less like a chore. And then there are adaptive learning platforms like Newton Alta.
What do those do?
They analyze how students are interacting with learning materials and then adjust the teaching accordingly. So if a student is struggling with a particular concept, the platform can provide extra support or even offer a different way of explaining things.
So it's constantly adapting to the student's needs in real time.
Exactly. And then there are AI-powered grading and feedback systems like GradeScope.
Those can save teachers a lot of time, right?
Yeah, they can automate a lot of the grading process and even provide personalized feedback to students. And in higher ed, we're seeing tools like ChatGPT Edu being used.
What does that one do?
It can summarize documents, provide individualized advice on things like resumes, even offer writing tips. It's pretty versatile. We also have chatbots being used for student support.
So instead of having to email someone or wait on hold, students can get their questions answered immediately by a chatbot.
Yeah, questions about academic requirements, administrative processes, all sorts of things. And then there are intelligent tutoring systems, or ITS, which provide personalized learning experiences in subjects like math and languages.
Those sound a lot like the adaptive learning platforms we talked about earlier.
Yeah, they are similar in some ways, but IDEAs are often more focused on providing very specific instruction and practice in a particular subject area.
So it's like having a personal tutor who specializes in, say, algebra or Spanish.
Right. And for teachers who are creating their own lessons and assignments, there are AI-powered tools that can help them too.
So AI is not just for students, it's for educators as well.
Yeah, there are platforms that can help teachers plan lessons, develop assignments, and even create personalized learning materials more efficiently. It's like having an AI assistant for teachers.
It sounds like AI is bringing a lot of benefits to education. What would you say are the biggest advantages?
Well, we've already talked about a lot of them, like increased student engagement, better learning outcomes, because the teaching is more personalized, more inclusivity because of tools like text-to-speech and language translation.
And from the teacher's perspective, AI can free up more time for them to actually teach and interact with students.
And it can give them valuable insights into how their students are learning, which they can then use to improve their teaching.
And from a broader perspective, AI can help to make education more efficient and accessible, potentially reaching more people.
So it's really a multifaceted tool with a lot of potential to improve education on many different levels. But of course, like with any new technology, there are also challenges and ethical considerations.
Right. We can't just ignore those.
Definitely not. One of the biggest concerns is academic dishonesty.
Students using AI to cheat on assignments.
Yeah. We saw in one study that students who used generative AI for their coursework actually scored lower on exams.
So it might seem like a shortcut, but it could actually be hurting their learning in the long run.
Right. And then there are concerns about students becoming too reliant on technology, potentially losing their ability to think critically and solve problems on their own.
The if you don't use it, you lose it argument.
Exactly. And we also have to think about data privacy.
AI systems collect a lot of data about students.
Yeah, and there are legitimate concerns about how that data is being used and protected. And then there's the issue of bias.
Bias in AI algorithms.
Right. If the data used to train these algorithms is biased, then the AI itself can be biased.
Which can lead to unfair or inaccurate results.
And of course, we can't forget about the digital divide.
The fact that not everyone has equal access to technology.
And this is something we have to be very mindful of as AI becomes more prevalent in education. We need to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to benefit from these tools, regardless of their socioeconomic background.
So it's not just about developing the technology, it's about making sure it's accessible and used ethically.
Exactly. And speaking of the future, what trends and predictions are we seeing for AI in education?
Well, one prediction is that we'll see even more personalized content delivery.
AI getting even better at tailoring the learning experience to each student.
Right. And there's also talked about AI being used to predict learning difficulties before they even happen.
So being able to identify students who might be at risk of falling behind and then intervening early.
Yeah. And learning analytics platforms, which track student progress and provide data to teachers, are expected to become even more crucial.
So teachers will have more data at their fingertips to really understand what's happening with their students.
Exactly. We're also likely to see more hybrid and blended learning models combining online and in-person instruction.
So taking advantage of the best of both worlds.
And there's a growing emphasis on using data to design curricula and allocate resources effectively.
So data-driven decision-making in education.
Yeah, and the demand for personalized education and tutoring
Hmm.
is expected to keep rising, especially in subjects where there are significant learning gaps.
Which makes sense. The more we understand about how individuals learn, the more we realize that a personalized approach can be incredibly beneficial.
And it's not just about academics. One of the reports predicted a growing need for personalized support to address social and emotional learning.
That's interesting. So AI could be used to help students develop skills like self-awareness, empathy, and responsible decision-making.
Yeah. And the role of educators is likely to evolve as well.
How so?
One article suggested that teachers will become more like guides and facilitators, using AI insights to support each student individually.
So moving away from the traditional sage on the stage model and becoming more of a mentor or coach.
Right. And there's a lot of talk about AI helping to expand access to education and promote equity.
Which is crucial if we want everyone to have the opportunity to succeed.
But we also need to be very careful about how we implement these technologies, making sure they're used ethically and responsibly.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the human values that guide its development and use.
Exactly. Because ultimately, AI is just a tool. It's up to us to decide how we use it.
And to make sure it's used to create a better future for everyone. So as you've heard, AI is rapidly becoming a key part of education in 2025.
And it's changing how students learn, how teachers teach, and how institutions operate.
And while there are certainly challenges and ethical considerations, there's also a lot of excitement about the potential for AI to create more personalized and effective learning experiences.
And it's not just about replacing teachers with robots.
So, right, it's about empowering both learners and educators with new tools and insights.
And it's a journey we're all on. Understanding the potential of AI in education is the first step.
So what are your thoughts on all of this? What stood out to you the most, and what questions do you have about the future of AI in education? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, leave a comment below and share your thoughts.
And if you found this deep dive into AI in education insightful, please subscribe to catch our future explorations and share this with anyone who might find it interesting. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.